New data in China suggesting a weakening economy. We are focusing on small cap stocks today. The Russell 2000 down 4 of the past 5 weeks. Far from the only group, though, stuck in the mud. Real issue is what that message sends. Steve, it's not good if the Russell continues to fall apart.
It's not a good message, and the reason is that the small caps lead you up and the small caps lead you down. So they're typically a leading indicator. Look, I don't think the story is particularly good at all overall. Now, there was a big move into the small caps. I participated in it early on. Kevin O'Leary, I believe, did also. And it was the right move to do, with the tax law impacting domestic companies more so than international. And you had the upside from this burgeoning economy, which was the fastest growing economy in the world of developed nations. And then it all fell apart. So where are we? So I believe that bonds and other economic indicators, forgetting about China, but Germany, Italy, France, the UK are telling you something. And they're telling you that the rosy forecasts about profit growth just aren't going to be there next year.
Yep. Liz, good point made on Twitter by J.C. Peretz. Says, okay, new 52-week closing lows yesterday. Small caps, mid caps, micro caps, regional banks, broker dealers, retailers, transports. None of those are characteristic of an uptrend in the market. What do you make of that?
Right. So a couple things. Some of the rallies, these little short-term rallies that we have day to day, they need to broaden out in order to be durable. So it's nice to see that once in a while, especially after a big correction, but they need to be a little bit more risk-seeking, and small caps will be something that we want to see participate in those rallies. I'm going to offer a little bit of a contrarian view from what we just heard. If you look at the slice and dice kind of Russell 1000 and Russell 2000, going into an economic peak, the Russell 2000, that small cap premium, actually tends to outperform into the peak and then for 12 months afterwards. So history doesn't always repeat itself, but it resembles itself. So the fact that small caps are underperforming could mean that we're actually far from a peak still.
Well, one of the main reasons why small caps are underperforming is because the largest sector for the Russell 2000 is financials, and that is the problem. Now, the weighting is only 17.5%. We used to talk last year it was up near 24, 25%, but the Russell 2000 is also deficient in what is going to be the significant appreciation sector, technology. There's only 13% there. So I think a lot of the question is, what is wrong with financials? Why are they performing the way they are? Secondarily, when you look at small caps, I completely disagree, and I think the market is getting a lesson in the fact right now that gridlock is good. Gridlock is not good when you are in a tightening cycle and you need to hand off stimulus to something, and there's nothing there. So I think what's going on right now in Washington, D.C. is beginning to significantly impact the behavior of the capital markets.
Well, I'm saying, Jimmy, if you list all of those spaces that I just said hit 52-week closing lows yesterday, and you say, okay, well, tech is not a 52-week closing low, but it's also hasn't done well. Just throw in the biggest sector having a major headwind. Yeah. And how can you declare a bottom or that you can resume an uptrend without any of those things turning around?
Well, the short answer, Scott, is you can't. The markets are in a distinct downtrend here, and it's amplified in the small cap space. Certainly, we're seeing it in technology as well, to your point, but you're seeing it everywhere. And I think we have to distinguish, and we tried to do this yesterday with Steve Leisman, we have to distinguish between what's going on presently right now and what the market is foreseeing in the future. Because presently, and I'm just going to focus on small caps for a second, Scott, I think you know I invest in small caps. I talk to these company managements routinely. They're telling me things are going really, really well. Now, Joe, they're not financials, but telecom, consumer discretionary, those sort of small cap stocks, the companies themselves are doing well. But this risk-off sentiment is writ so large, it's not based on fundamentals, it's based on sentiment. That sentiment can change, but I'm sorry to be a broken record.
You tell me what changes.
I'm sorry to be a broken record here.
I think China trade deal again?
I know you're tired of hearing it. I'm tired of saying it. But yes, a real, and I mean real deal with China would turn all the risk segments of the market up, whether it's technology or financials or small caps.
It has to be something bigger than that. It has to be something. You go back, you think of the corrections in the market, go back to 2015, 2016. What took us out of that? It was stimulus from the PBOC. You go back to 2011, the debt ceiling crisis. It was something large. You even go back to 2009, it was from the Federal Reserve. It has to be something bigger than that. It has to be the Federal Reserve stepping back. It has to be a resolution
They've already stepped
from the Chinese.
Wait.
Let me finish. It has to be something from Washington, D.C. It would be nice if we had a chief of staff at some point.
Let me
That's
make
not
this.
gonna do
Let me make
anything.
this
We've
point
already
really
had a
clear.
few. It hasn't helped.
Earnings revisions, whether on the market overall or individual stocks, really have not come down that much, if at all. I mean, really not that much.
They've
the market,
come 20% to 7%.
The market is down as if we're having this cliff fall off in revisions,
Correct.
which just has not happened. Now, I've been around a long time. We've all been around a long time. I haven't seen a market decline this bad without meaningful earnings revisions. The absence of that revision tells me that this is sentiment, not fundamentals, and I think that sentiment can and will change primarily on China.